Entertainment Weekly, the show. This week, we're doing detective work with Elijah Wood and Samuel Barnett, having a sweet time with the cast of Queen Sugar, and saving Asgard with Thor Ragnarok director Taika Waititi. Plus, the latest Entertainment Weekly is all about crazy rich Asians, and we'll see what makes this story so irresistible. We've got a crazy stacked show, people, and it starts right now. Welcome to the show. I'm Lolo Gnaikin. It's been a big week in the news, so let's dive in, shall we? Up first, as you know, Crazy Rich Asians is on the cover of EW this week, and the upcoming film is an adaptation of Kevin Kwan's best-selling novel, and I cannot wait for this movie. For anyone who hasn't read the book, here's a crazy quick primer. Fresh off the boat, actress Constance Wu stars as Rachel. Rachel's a professor who gets more than she bargained for when she accompanies her boyfriend to Singapore and meets his insanely rich family. Henry Golden plays Rachel's boyfriend, Nick, who turns out to be the heir to a famous family fortune and the most sought-after bachelor in his home country. Nick's no-nonsense mother, Eleanor, is played by the great Michelle Yeoh. Eleanor has spent her life grooming her son to inherit the role of family patriarch, and she's not letting no pedigree having Rachel ruin her master plan. No, she isn't. And last but not least, hilarious Hangover star Ken Jeong appears as a goofy family friend who embraces Rachel with open arms. Now, if this movie is half as good as the book, it should do crazy numbers at the box office. And while we're talking movies, the drama LBJ premieres this week, and it stars Woody Harrelson as the 36th president. Harrelson isn't the first actor to play the man who became president after JFK's assassination, and he probably won't be the last, but who thus far has been #1 at playing President 36? Randy Quaid tackled Johnson's pre-presidential life in 1987's LBJ: The Early Years. He took home a Golden Globe for that role. Not too shabby. British actor Michael Gambon played LBJ in the movie Path to War, which focused on LBJ taking over the presidency after Kennedy's death. The movie aired on HBO in 2002, 2 years before Gambon took over the role of Dumbledore in the Harry Potter franchise. Liev Schreiber showed up as LBJ in the 2013 drama Lee Daniels the Butler. Liev was one of 5 actors to portray presidents in the film, a list that included Robin Williams, James Marsden, John Cusack, and Alan Rickman. And most recently, Bryan Cranston traded his meth ban for the Oval Office to play LBJ on Broadway in All the Way. He also starred in the play's HBO version and won a Tony for that role. Upon reviewing all the facts, I'm going to have to go with Bryan Cranston in All the Way. And I'm sure if he heard about this honor, his reaction would be something like this.
You're goddamn right.
In other news, Halloween was this week and the celebs are out in full force. Jonathan Cheban and Kim Kardashian dressed up as Sonny and Cher. Busy Phillips went out as Hedwig and the Angry Inch. But Gwyneth Paltrow's costume was head and shoulders above the rest. That's because it was both outside the box and inside the box, literally. This getup, of course, is an ode to her doomed character in the thriller Seven, and only Paltrow can make a severed head look pretty. Gwyneth's costume brought a smile to everyone's face, well, except for this guy.
What's in the box? Not till you give me the What's gun. In the fucking box?
All right, that's it for headlines. We'll be right back with more show. Welcome back. I'm here with the stars of Dirk Gently's holistic detective agency, Elijah Wood and Samuel Barnett. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
I did it.
You did it. It's
that
great.
title is a mouthful.
It is, yeah.
Okay, so for those who don't know what a holistic detective is, break it on down for me.
Well, a holistic detective doesn't work in the usual way that a detective works.
Right.
So my character believes that the universe will lead him where he needs to go in order to solve a mystery. So I don't know, if he sees a rabbit running down a street, he'll follow the rabbit, and that rabbit will take him to another clue and another clue. And it seems like nothing is connected, but actually it's all connected in the end, and it all takes him towards solving the mystery.
Now, Elijah, had you bought into this idea before? Was this something that you had thought about?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I ascribe to that in an ultimately concrete way. I think that there is room for free will, and however, I do think that the universe is connected. I think we are all connected. I think other people's actions affect us as well. So I don't know. I believe in fate to a certain degree, but I don't know if I ascribe to there's no way out of it. You know what I mean?
Season 1 was very, very complicated.
Yes.
When you get a script that's that complicated, are you afraid? Are you intrigued? Are you a bit of both?
I was thrilled.
Yeah, it's unique, and it's hard to find unique stuff these days. So when I got that script, I was like, there's nothing else like this out there. And I think season 1 was just kind of setting out our stall in a way and going, if you're up for this, you're going to have a fantastic time watching the show. I think season 2 is far more character driven because we know the characters a lot better.
Yep.
And but the plot is just as crazy and insane, but I think easier to follow in season 1.
There was almost a sort of a willful complicating of the script. It was very intentional to make it complicated, and it's a bold thing.
You guys definitely have a palpable chemistry. Why do you think this duo works?
I'm going to speak for both of us here.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
Great.
But when we met in the screen test, I think we both felt there was a real chemistry, and I don't know why. We'd never met before, we'd never worked together before, but just reading the script together, acting it out. I mean, we had to act out in a tiny little room in front of about 13 people or something, and it just worked. I don't know what makes chemistry, but I think it works.
Yeah.
So I hear season 2 is going to involve a lot of fantasy. Is
Yes.
that correct?
There's a fantasy land called Wendemore that exists somewhere. And we visit it.
We do.
And there are characters from that land that cross over into our world. And that's sort of the kind of central hub of our mystery this particular season is this place of Wendemore and what it is and who is in Wendemore.
I mean, I started out this show last year not knowing that this was actually an anthology show. So last season was time travel and body swapping, and this season is high fantasy.
I have to ask you, what is your favorite cop or detective duo in pop culture history?
I'm going to choose one that's very nerdy and not many people know.
Really?
Sam and Max. There's a video game in the 90s called Sam and Max Hit the Road, and they're two detectives, they're dogs. It's very funny, it's very irreverent, and I'm a big fan of it. But that's very obscure. It's not in the greater pop culture.
Okay.
And mine, I mean, it's tricky because they're not really detectives, but I guess in a way he's a detective. I grew up with the whole Doctor Who thing, and there's always been a doctor and an assistant. And I've always loved that pairing, and I'm really excited that we have a female doctor now. Can't wait to see who her assistant is going to be.
great.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Thanks again for being here, guys. Thank you so much. And Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency is airing on BBC America starting October 14th. I'm here with the actor who plays Tyrell Wellick on the acclaimed show Mr. Robot, Martin Wallström. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lola.
Thank you so much for being here. Now, I love how cool your character is under pressure. Tell me, having played such a ruthless man, what's the secret to surviving an interrogation?
Well, I can sort of help you teach out some tricks, how to get out of tight spots.
Yeah.
And so I thought of a how to pass interrogation with Coach Tyrell Wellick.
I like that.
Yeah? You wanna go?
I'll be the interrogator, and you'll show me how to stay cool.
Absolutely.
Ice cool, right, under pressure.
Yeah.
All right, that's a deal. Sounds good. Okay, Mr. Wellick, did you eat all the candy I set aside for trick-or-treaters?
No. Denial. Works every time.
I like it. Deny till you die. That was good. Okay, let's try another. Where were you on the night of the big hack?
Call my lawyer.
Call my lawyer. But this is Sam's Deli. Doesn't No.
Oh yeah, they do that too.
Let's do another. Is that a fake Rolex you're wearing?
This is a nice table. Where you get this?
This is a nice table. Lucite, roomy, got room to kick my legs around. Wait a minute. What?
Other trick, distraction. Get people to think about other things. Works every time.
That was really good.
Thank you.
Martin, you're good at this. All right, I have one more question. Will your character eventually take over the evil corporation E-Corp? Tell me.
To find that out, Lola, you have to watch Mr. Robot on USA Wednesdays.
Plug your show, huh?
Like your show.
All right, thanks, Martin. Speaking of guys who know how to hack it, Ron Livingston dropped by recently to take a look at some of his past work, and he showed us a swinging good time. Take a look.
Hi, I'm Ron Livingston. I've played a lot of roles over the years, and I'm going to tell you about some of them in a segment called It's a Livingston. Swingers was it's like watching home movies to me. It was one of the very first things I ever did.
I mean, at first you're going to pretend to forget about her, you'll not call her, I don't know, whatever, but then eventually you really will forget about her.
Jon Favreau, who moved to LA right around the same time that I did from Chicago, had written this movie that he was going to try and sell. Doug Liman came on board and said, you know what, let's just make this movie for about a tenth of what you guys think it's going to be, and we'll just do it. Now that it wasn't going to cost anything and they couldn't afford to get any established actors, now we all got to be in it. Office Space, when I went to the audition and halfway through the audition, I thought to myself, oh, yeah, I'm gonna get this.
I'll go ahead and make sure you get another copy of that memo.
Okay? Yeah, no, I have the memo. I've got it. It's right. Hello, Bill. I had no business having that feeling. I don't think the studio wanted to give me that movie. They said, well, all right, he's got to do a screen test because he doesn't look like a leading man, you know? And, which I didn't. And so they called me, and my agents called me and said, this is looking great. You're going to come in for a screen test on Tuesday. It's going to be these 3 scenes. There'll be, hair and makeup in there, and they're going to do it in a set, and we'll shoot it. And, but one thing, they're wondering if you can fast between now and Tuesday. And they're like, well, they just think that it would be nice if you, could lose a few pounds. I didn't fast. I fasted for maybe 4 hours, and then I was like, I can't do it. Band of Brothers was another one of those where it's this, World War II officer, and I was like, I'm not gonna get this thing, they're gonna go, because there's a way that a World War II officer looks in a movie, and it's that clean cut.
Civilized place for civilized men.
I went and I bought a copy of the book, and of course, being an actor, I went to the index and found the character that I was playing and looked at the picture, and it's the picture of him slouched in the bed, kind of surrounded by all these bottles, and he's hung over and his hair's a mess. It was a moment of oh, I'm getting this. I'm gonna get this part. Sex and the City was a great show. That writer's room was fantastic. It was pretty much all female, except for Michael Patrick King.
He's just not that into you.
I remember we were shooting some scene, and Michael came over and says, I got a grade out for you, which you're an actor, there's no such thing as a grade out, because you're like, okay, my job's over and I'm unemployed. But what is it, Michael? We got the script, and it was the Post-it note thing, where it's like he's breaking up with her on a Post-it note. I would have always thought that he's just not that into you would be the thing that character was identified with, but man, once that Post-it note thing happened, nope. Search Party, oh man.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I loved those episodes. Everything I read. And then you think, okay, but, we're going to get there, and it's going to be like 4 young kids. Maybe one of them will be pretty good, and the others will be kind of green and learning as they go. And I got there, and it was like, wow, these kids are putting on a clinic. I can't wait to see what they do with the second season.
So I'm Sam Loudermilk. I'm 4 years off the sauce, and I'm super duper excited about getting you on the road to sobriety.
Loudermilk is a blast, man. It's Pete Farrelly of the Farrelly Brothers, master of comedy. Pete has this energy of being like a 16-year-old kid with a glint in his eye that wants to just push all those little comedy buttons that you're not supposed to push, tip over the sacred cows. But it's not from a mean-spirited place. It's really fun to sort of take the gloves off and throw likable out the window and just be a guy who's just authentically miserable. and tasked with helping a bunch of people he can't stand. So that's funny to me.
Coffee for asshole?
Yeah, that's me.
You can watch Loudermilk Tuesdays at 10:30 on AT&T's Audience Network.
Welcome back. I'm here with 3 stars of the critically acclaimed drama Queen Sugar, Omar Dorsey, Don Lyon Gardner, and Kofi Siriboe. Welcome to the show. You know, the show has been a major success both for the network and for all of you as well. Ava DuVernay created it. Oprah's an executive producer. Those 2 names all but guarantees a hit. But did you have any idea it would be this big?
It was totally an experiment. Honestly, like that was the first thing Ava said to me, really, when I was testing, is that we don't know what's going to happen with this. This is a pace. It's an intention. It's a luxuriating that we don't see very often, especially with people of color at the center of the narrative. So I think for us, we were all hopeful and wanting folks to respond to the love that we put into it, but didn't know. And receiving it has been like, it's almost been shocking, you know? It's really almost been shocking.
And it keeps growing. That's the crazy part. Like, there's so many new fans who are, like, going back and binging season 1, and then they're like, I know I'm late, but I still love Ralph. And I'm like, it's all good, but I think I really want to see what happens in 5 years.
I've heard that the heavier the show, the lighter themes are behind camera. So what's the chemistry like offset?
I think the more the drama, the more the love for us.
Period.
That really is how it feels, really. Like, even when we're doing those incredibly emotional scenes where we're all drained, there's such a feeling of support, such a feeling of giving each other space, such a feeling of respect and just love. It's really a show built on love.
It is,
Yeah.
and sometimes when I walk in, because Dawn Lynn has some very heavy emotional stuff, and I see her drained sometimes. So I go into the makeup trailer, and I just go give her a hug, because I do see it, Dawn. And I'm like, man, I see that she has this heavy load to carry. And you know, we give each other space, but the love is always there.
It's an all-female director squad this season.
Yes.
An estrogen army,
Yes,
right?
yes.
What has it been like to have an estrogen army there to shape the narrative and how has it influenced the work that you all deliver on screen?
It's game-changing. It's completely game-changing. It's game-changing for the industry. It's game-changing, I think, for me and personally. I think for many of us, it's game-changing. I hadn't even been directed by a woman director in TV before Ava. And then it was all women since then.
Right.
That was profound. It was profound.
Women like Julie Dash.
Yes.
Legend.
Legends in our midst, and legends coming up. Really, there's some incredibly talented directors this season and last season.
But I'll tell you what, man, there's something about female directors, man. They bring something out of me that dudes don't. And that's just real. They bring this
bring out?
sensitivity. You know, like that. I couldn't play Hollywood the way I played it without that female direction, because it would have been full of machismo.
Right.
And when you can play it with, because I'm not Hollywood. I'm full of machismo. I'm Omar. But to be able to play it, sit back, it's something about being able to sit back in it. And that's a totally different direction than I think that a male perspective would have came at it with.
What do you hope the takeaway is for people who tune in to watch Queen Sugar? Because you want them to, I'm assuming, to be both entertained, but also to be educated as well.
The gift of the pacing, the gift of Ava and Oprah's intention of dimension and authenticity and cultural representation that feels like you can touch it and feel it and taste it, is that people who maybe aren't from those areas or aren't from those communities lean in and say, I see myself there, and I am going to take the journey with you. I am going to grow with you.
You know, it's crazy. I stopped in the airport the other day, and this guy was like, man, thank you, man. You brought my family together at 10 o'clock on Wednesday nights. We all sit around and we watch the show. He said, and we never have that time. Everybody's on the phone. Everybody's, I know, social media. Everybody's doing whatever, but we are there with you guys. And so that's what we want. We're family. families come in together and you watch it together. And that's like the biggest takeaway that I want to give. It's like, yo, we can bring us all back together.
It's real.
Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for bringing your family to our family. And we'll be tuning in.
Yay.
Thank you. Welcome back to the show. Director Taika Waititi stopped by this week to tell us about his new film, Thor Ragnarok. And luckily for us, he was more than happy to hammer out the details. Check it out.
Hi, I'm Taika Waititi, director of Thor Ragnarok. Now, Hulk appears with Thor in this movie, but the other Avengers do not. But they had good excuses for not being there, and I'm going to tell you what they are in a segment called What's Up with the Other Avengers. Captain America would have loved to have helped Thor take on Hela. Unfortunately, he had jury duty. I was once on a jury in New Zealand where 17 avocados went missing from a local farm. We never found the culprit. Spider-Man wanted to be there, but he's in high school. He couldn't get his Aunt May to write a note that said Peter Parker can't come to class today because he's on another planet fighting gods. Black Widow would have pitched in with Thor if she'd been free at the time, but she wasn't free at the time. She was a prisoner for stealing 17 avocados from a local New Zealand farm. Wait a minute. Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, was dealing with some other stuff, but his coat and glasses do appear. Duran Duran happened to tweet, "Oh, look at our cool album cover from Rio on this Bruce Banner's t-shirt." Dun, dun. You may not get many of these Avengers in this film, but you will get a very special Revenger, and his name is Korg. Korg is a man made of stone, played by one of New Zealand's greatest actors, Taika Waititi. I have high hopes that Korg will be in more films. See Thor Ragnarok in theaters now. Or see it on a bootleg VHS copy, which I'm selling personally from the trunk of my car in the parking lot of Ralph's on Sunset Boulevard.
I've got to get one of those copies, Taika. That's our show. Thanks to all my guests. Don't forget to grab the Crazy Rich Asians issue of Entertainment Weekly on newsstands now and at EW.com.